Oh, two of you are here. I guess it's working now. Let me find myself. Hang on. I'm across the room at my desk, so. I'm seeing myself. I guess that's a good sign. Holy cow. Okay. I think it's sticking. It doesn't look like we're going to get another network error. Oh, Josie found us. Yay. We'll see. Wait, give everybody a chance to catch up. I don't know what the deal is. I had the same trouble on Monday, but I caught it earlier than I did today. Hi. So I don't know if it's my computer or YouTube. I have no idea. As soon as the broadcast is over, I'm going to be doing some Googling. Unfortunately, I know just enough about computers to get me in big trouble. So yeah, I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, or I'll find out. And I'm not prepared because I was trying to work with the computer. You found me, yay! And it's working and we're not getting a network error, yay! So I don't know if it's my computer or the internet connection. Hey, AGTube fan, hey. It might be AT&T. I have AT&T. They suck. All right, so today I was, as you all, some of you know, I am in the Facebook group that was called World Watercolor Month. Now it's just World Watercolor Club, I think. And a lot of people post some really great artwork. Somebody posted a picture of an elephant. And I really liked the way they did it. And it kind of inspired me to do one and to do it maybe if I can manage to pull it off, Gene Haynes style. So I printed these two elephant photos from Paint My Photo. So if you do pnp-art.com, that's the Paint My Photos website. Yeah, if you guys could help out Miko Faux Show, and that would be great. Those of you who are watching the right broadcast. And if you're in the old broadcast and there's people over there that are looking for me, send them over here. So anyway, so we have AT&T, and I don't know if the network issues are AT&T related or computer related, but I'll be doing some Googling, and yeah, it'll be interesting because I don't know that much about computers. I might have to hit up some of my local peeps who do know about computers. But anyway, so if you go to pmp-art.com, that's the Paint My Photo website. For the most part, they're royalty-free photos that you're allowed to use as inspiration for paintings and artwork. And I chose these two elephant pictures because, again, I'm inspired by the one that I saw on World Watercolor Month. And we're going to work on one of those kind of hopefully Gene Haynes style. So we're going to work in our, before we do the quick journal flip, let's get these wet. We're going to work with our Daniel Smith paints in our watercolor journal. This is, again, our watercolor spray bottle that has some oxgall liquid in it that'll aid in the re-wetting and flow of the watercolor paints. Recently, I've been watching lots of videos on setting up palettes and painting from tubes or painting from cakes. And one of the YouTubers that I saw said that watercolor paint squeezed out of the tube and let dry like this and re-wet doesn't work well, and that you should really work from the tube fresh. There's a lot of controversial opinions about that. I disagree with that. Daniel Smith is on their website. They advocate doing this. So I would say when it comes to any art or medium, that I would encourage you to form your own. And the reason I'm mentioning this is for this reason. I want to encourage you to form your own opinions. Wait, this is in my way. See, I'm all discombobulated because of the computer issue. Okay. I would encourage Okay, you guys, I'm still having problems. I have no idea how long this broadcast is going to last. There is network errors, and I don't know if it's my computer or it's actually the internet connection. I have no idea. I have no idea. It's the weirdest thing on the planet. I'm back, yeah. All right, so anyway, this is the kind of style that I was thinking to do the elephant in. And if for some reason we lose the live broadcast, wherever we're at with this process, rest assured that I'm going to stop and I'll turn on my HD video camera and I'll tape it. Okay, I'm going to say that right off the bat. I don't know what's up with the internet connection today. I have no idea. Okay, so, but I want to do something in this style. I want to do an elephant. So anyway, so I was watching a lot of watercolor videos, and she said that she didn't like working from the tubes, that it's not really good for the paint, that they don't really last. I disagree with that, and I like working from dried paint. She likes the tubes. She said it's not good for the paint to let it dry out. I disagree with that. So, but you need to form your own opinion. This is the one we did last week. I'm hoping this sticks, but again, if it doesn't, hit refresh toy. Yeah, I prefer the dry paint. Now, again, I'm going to say it one more time. If something happens to our broadcast again, I'm going to turn on the HD video camera wherever we're at, and I will, yeah, exactly, Ramo. You don't have to use one that doesn't re-wet well. There's enough brands out there that do re-wet really well. Daniel Smith is one of them. And anyway, you should form your own opinions. Okay, so wherever we're at in this process, if we have any more network issues, I'm going to be stopping, and I'll hook up my HD video camera, and we'll finish the elephant that way. Hopefully, we don't have any more problems, but I'm not going to guarantee anything. The internet is acting really funny this morning. Okay, I've got the book turned just a little bit just to be more comfortable for me. And I'm going to use my inspiration photos again from Paint My Photo to sketch out the shapes of the elephant that I'm seeing. I wish one of you knew more about, knew something about computers and or lived closer, because I don't know if it's the internet or if it's my computer. So I'm just drawing some loose guidelines, and you probably can barely see me with the, see it? Let's see. That might be a little bit better. I'm afraid to mess with this, but if you click on the view, if you click on the broadcast, and 3 little dots will come up in the upper right corner, click on them. Oops. And then click on the little gear that says quality and click on 720p. It'll greatly increase your picture quality. Yeah, I don't know if it's bandwidth, which doesn't make sense because I'm the only one home. We're supposed to have high-speed internet, but like Lisa Swank can attest, we have AT&T, and similar to Comcast, they suck. Okay, so I'm just sketching out my elephant shape, just some loose, quick, sketchy guidelines. Okay, so we've got our quick, but I want to keep it loose, right? So I'm going to start out with getting my page wet in some kind of random places. And now it's time to decide what colors, kind of colors I want to do my elephant in. And I don't want to do realistic. I think I want to do, I know I want to do expressive, and I want to do like teal and purple and those kind of things. I'm not going to do gray. And I think for the color, pop of color to suggest sunlight and warmth, that I am going to use, let's see, New Gamboge. And if those of you who don't know, Lisa is one of the newest members of my team over in the A Life of Art and Self-Expression Facebook group. And she's also the team member for Cindy Utter's group, Artsy Endeavors. She is our welcome and birthday ambassador. So I'm going to start out with some splatters and drips. And Lisa, thanks for keeping everybody updated. I get too discombobulated when this kind of thing happens. And see, I didn't even unplug the heat gun, and we're going to need that at some point today. You know we will. So let's get that unplugged before we get too far. Okay. Wow. Now, in this particular case, because we're doing something that's Jean Haines style, while I want to keep my colors mostly ones that blend well together, if I get some that kind of create mud, I'm not too worried about it. She doesn't really stop and dry anything. And I think that I'm not necessarily too worried either. I'm going to go to a large round brush. This is a Royal Watercolor brush number 16 round. And I am going to grab this tealy color that's actually on my palette from something else. It's probably cobalt teal. That's what it looks like. It could be a mixture of cobalt teal and phthalo turquoise. Yeah, and yeah, so we have AT&T. So yeah, so you're all on board with that. Comcast isn't necessarily a whole bunch better, but yeah, AT&T is terrible. And they have a, you know, they have a monopoly on the whole thing. So I'm going to put this teal in the shadows, and then I'm going to add some water. I'm going to just let it, you know, it's going to kind of drip and flow where it may. This is about suggesting your shape, not necessarily painting it realistically. I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to put it a little bit away from my pencil line because I don't want it to blend too far into this part of the head. And I'm going to get a green color because it's going to blend with the yellow, which is wet, but I'm okay with that. So, you know, it's the opposite of like the painting that we did on Monday, where you can start off with dark, with black, and you can work your way lighter because it's acrylic paint, and you can go over your drips and splatters and color correct where you've gotten things too dark or too light very easily. With watercolor, you can't do that. You could go over it with acrylic paint or gouache, but if you really want to get used to using watercolor, then you have to know it's transparent, and you know, if you're using a fine artist grade, it's probably staining. Some of them are more staining than others. And so, see, I didn't get to that quick enough. You really have to work with whatever happens, which can be challenging. So you can already kind of see the elephant coming out there, can't you? So right here, his tusk got yellow, which is okay, I guess, but I think I want to get it lighter. So I'm going to go in there with just water, and then I'm going to lift some of the yellow paint. Some brands lift easier than others, and I'm not sure if it's because of the pigments they use. I know some of the ones that are like dye-based, I'm assuming because they're dye-based, they don't lift very well. I don't know that much about paint chemistry to be able to tell you exactly. I want to go in, I'm really getting the feeling that I want to go in with some quinacridone gold. See, look at my paint thing, it's all messy. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to get out a separate plate because my palette on my my mixing tray on the kit here is all. I don't want to wipe that off because that's paint that we might want to use today. All right, so this is a darker, warm color. So I'm gonna use this to suggest warm shadows, if that makes sense. The artist in the Facebook group. See, I don't remember. The artist who I'm trying to do her style, her name is Gina B Ahrens. There was an artist in the watercolor group that did an elephant that she inspired me to try one. I've been thinking about it for a long time. She kind of reminded me, oh yeah, I wanted to do an elephant. The artist whose style I really admire that we're working on doing something in that style, her name is Gina B Ahrens, and she really spends lots of time suggesting her shapes with color, and she does a lot of work with warm and cool colors. She's fabulous. I can't recommend her enough. The first book of hers I ever got was Color and Light, and there are 2 versions of that book. The newer version has more in it than the old version, but you can't go wrong with either one. And hello. After the crazy morning we've had trying to get online, I'm glad everybody's finally found me. So I'm using this darker warm color for the shadows and the wrinkles, you know, in the elephant's trunk. So Jean is really about using color and putting the color in the right place and really working with the drips. Hey, Joe. Jean, G-E-A-N, Haynes, H-A-I-N-E-S. She has a number of books. I would recommend Color and Light as a starter book. It's a really great book. She has an older version, which might be a little less expensive than the newer one. The newer one has more in it, but they're both very good. The newer one has the same things as the old one in it, but it's got a little more than that. I think it's H-A-I-N-E-S, not H-A-Y. I don't think there's a Y. That's it. She's a wonderful artist. Well, at least the broadcast is sticking. Yay. Okay, I'm going to grab a cough drop because I'm all icky. Okay, so now, before I do any drying, I think I want to go in here with the darker color. And by darker, I mean cooler. I don't mean, it may actually be darker, a darker tone, but I mean cooler. And I think I'm going to use this violet that's on my palette. And again, I'm using the Paint My Photo Pictures as a guide. I'm barely touching the tip of my brush to the paper. Barely, barely. I'm getting only a little bit of paint on here, and then I'm going to come back with some water. She's very expressive. I love her style. She's just fabulous. I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself, and I'm going to do, you know, one section at a time. I'm going to try to leave the tusks as white as and pristine as possible, but y'all know, if you've been watching me for a while, that I sometimes have problems with that. Let's see. You know, it's just practice. I just started out doing watercolor doodles, really, on drawing paper, no less, and I still have some of them, and they're, you know, the paper was absolutely horrible. Yeah, Payne's Gray is a fabulous color, and we haven't added that yet. We probably will. This is violet. This is a violet color. This is just something that was on my palette. It's probably quinacridone purple mixed with a little bit of Payne's Gray, because that's what it looks like to me. Okay, so we need to start to put the suggestion of an eye in. So I'm going to do that here. I am just copying the shapes that I see, again, on the Paint My Photo picture. Put a little bit of paint. This is a number 16 round. Okay, I love the way that turn is coming out. So now I'm going to go to the other. I'm mostly, by the way, looking at this photo from Paint My Photos rather than this one. I'm mostly looking at this one. And I'm okay with just working with whatever happens with the violet mixing with the yellow. It's going to turn sort of a grayish brown. I'm okay with that. And I'm using this violet to further accentuate the shadows in our elephant. And to, you know, suggest the shape and give it some interest rather than painting it literally and realistically, because that doesn't make me happy. Okay, put some down here. Okay. And then we're gonna not go too far before we get some water in here, because we're about suggestive marks and not literal ones, right? And this is a female elephant, by the way. That's what the picture said on Paint My Photo. So for that reason, we'll start to refer to her as a she, and she is looking fabulous. At least the network error stopped. Yay! Holy cow. All right. So let's finish with the violet by going down here. Now, Jean is really, you know, an advocate of not only using your warm and cool colors, but, you know, she uses things like violet for her shadow color, and she uses quinacridone gold for the, you know, warm color. And her lessons in her books are fabulous. Now, I just grabbed a little bit more of the violet, and I'm going to put it here on this mixing part of my palette, and I'm going to pull up a little bit of this Payne's gray into it to gray it out just a little bit. Okay. Again, I'm just barely touching the brush to the painting, barely. And I'm going to come back in with some water. I've been doing watercolor since about 2007. I grew up, though, painting and playing with all different kinds of mediums. I had two aunts that did a lot of babysitting while my parents were at work, and they were both college art students. But most of that, I think, from what I remember, was acrylic paint and markers and pencils. Let's see. I'm gonna do this here. This line is not quite right over here. And while I want it to be suggestive, I want it to be in proportion to what I'm seeing in the photo. I get asked a lot about my anxiety disorder, and there's a reason I'm going to bring that up, so bear with me for a second. No, I'm not medicated. One of the reasons I'm not medicated and I'm able to not be medicated is because I do art. art helps me deal with the stress in a healthy manner, helps keep me from not going off the deep end, so to speak. And when things get stressful, I do more art. I'm looking at it in the monitor of the iPad, which is where I watch my own broadcast, and holy cow, it's cute. I got worried there for a second. The screen froze. Jeez. All right. So we're still with the violet, and I'm using it, but I'm not blending it out as much with the water. I'm using it, you know, straight. Some of the paper is wet, and it's going to, you know, blend by itself, and it'll blur by itself. But if it doesn't, I'm going to leave those marks. Just remember to start with your lightest colors, your lightest values, warmest colors, and then work your way cooler. You're going to frustrate the crap out of yourself if you try to do it a different way, to be really honest and blunt. Isn't she turning out great? I love her. Okay. You ready? Hey, Lisa, both Lisas, Miko, Yasna, Joe, Ian, all of you that I've kind of missed. Those of you who got confused with the other broadcast, if you don't know, we had broadcasting issues to start off with this morning. Of course we did, because I have AT&T and they suck. All right, so now where do we want to go with this? I think I want to take a little bit of the tealy color. I've switched to a smaller brush. This is a Grumbacher round number 5. There are a few marks and shadows on the tusks. Now, you know, the tusks are usually, you know, not pristine. They're used for protection, I think, on the elephants. So they usually have some character wear, right? So I'm going to use this tealy turquoise color to suggest the kind of shadows that I see in the photograph on the tusks. Okay, so, oh, what is that? It's a dark spot. Oh, dark spot. I don't know what that is. I think it's a piece of pigment or something. It's something. Hold on, Ian, and I'll tell you. I think that's a piece of watercolor paint. I think it's a piece of Payne's gray paint. That's okay. We're going to work with it. That color would have ended up on there somewhere anyway. So you want to just suggest just enough structure to suggest your image, and you want to let go of the notion that you have to outline everything. Here's one I did of my dog, Bandit. I got the idea. Yeah, the only thing that needs ivory is an elephant, Lisa. I agree with you. So here's a sheep. This is a direct lesson out of one of Jean's books. She shows you how to do this sheep. And you're really only doing enough structure in the piece to suggest the shape of the sheep. You're not like outlining the whole thing. In fact, I'm probably doing too much outlining. But this is a fabulous way to watercolor, and it just takes practice. I'm actually going to switch. I'm going to stick with the little brush for just a second, and I'm going to grab some Payne's Gray. Oops. Just to stick in here. This is wet, so it's going to bleed a little bit. I'm going to make some of it bleed where it's not wanting to move. That eye's a little bit wet. Let's dry it. Make them match. Okay. Oh, thank you. I'm gonna, I just want to get the eyes in here, and the eyes are the part that I want to be, as Ian says, structured. So I'm gonna actually go in with some black on a small brush, and I'm gonna just roll some of it off so I have a nice pointy tip. And this is dry right here. Now, while I'm not going to, you know, draw it exactly, I don't want the paint to go too far. And I'm going to use the black because, let's see, it's going to give a really strong dark pop. Oh, I'll show the dog again. Hang on. It was a portrait of my dog. Okay, so right there, if I stopped right there, you would get the definite idea that's an elephant. I'm not going to stop there, but where's the dog? There you go. His name is Bandit. Okay. So I'm going to switch back to the large brush, which I have less control over. So if I stick to a larger brush, to kind of answer more of Ian's question, I have less control over where the marks go, and it forces me to define the shape with the placement of the color and not by drawing specific lines anymore. So I'm going to just mix a bunch of these dark bluish gray colors here that are on my palette. And we're going to continue to like define our elephant. And I'm looking at the photo, and I'm kind of, you know, defining with the photo where the different shapes are, where the shadows are. Oh, thanks. If I get the color somewhere that I like the color placement, but I don't like the mark the brush left, then I go in and put some water. I maybe would go in and lift some of it up with a rag or a clean brush so that it's more suggestive. And right there, I like that mark, so I'm going to leave that mark. There's a kind of a shadow that comes this way. Let's see. Yeah, so it does, you know, I had a teacher once that did tell me that, you know, you need to know how to draw the form properly before you can mess with it and make it wonky. She's not wrong. So drawing, and there's no shortcut to that. So I'm literally just kind of using up the colors on my palette, because there's blues and violets and gray and Payne's gray colors on here, and those are the colors I want in the elephant. So we're going to use those. Oh, thank you so much. I almost always start out with a basic drawing of the animal or the piece that I'm working on. For me, I find that that's easier, and because I'm a mixed media artist kind of at heart, I like having those kind of pencil marks and other suggestions of shape and form on there rather than just the paint. Yep, you have to really practice your drawing. That's one of the reasons I started doing the daily doodles. Granted, they're just doodles, but it is still drawing practice. So no matter what kind of drawing practice you do something. It's also not about covering the whole piece of paper with paint. It's about suggesting the form with a little bit of paint and a few marks. This kind of painting is great because if you can master it, which I still don't consider myself a master by any stretch, this is the kind of painting that's really great to do like plein air, and you take it out with you, you know, on vacation, and you can be sitting in a little cafe and do a quick painting, because it's totally not about perfection at all. So as you make your shapes darker and you add more to your shadows, not only more marks, but more definition, not even more definition, but you make them cooler, then your piece really starts to pop out. I got to make sure I choose the right words. I'm all discombobulated because of the computer issues this morning. She is turning out cute. I'm looking at her on the camera, on the video. So Ian, one thing I can recommend is, of course, keep practicing. I love charcoal because you can just smudge it around to play with your shadows easily. It's a fabulous medium. If you want to take a class from somebody who teaches you drawing, go look up Pauline Agnew. She has a faces and figures course that's fabulous, and she teaches you how to do faces and figures in charcoal, pastel, paint, in a very suggestive manner. But she's fabulous. All right, so I think we've done pretty well by our little girl here. I don't think she's done. And I like this kind of accidental granulation we got over here. Wish I could figure out how I did that. I can repeat it on the other side. Holy moly. I'm just gonna, some of the Daniel Smith paints granulate like this really easily and stick in all the lumps and bumps of the paper. And I actually like that about the paint. I'm looking at her on the video, trying to decide where I want to go now. She's looking pretty good though. Let's see. I'm going to add some Moon Glow. Moon Glow is a Daniel Smith color. It's a purplish gray color. I need some water. Of course, it's the one little pan that didn't get any water. So as I was saying when we first started our broadcast, there's lots of watercolor artists out there that have different styles and different opinions about things. Some of them, as I was saying, are of the opinion that tube paints do not re-wet well. That's, in my opinion, not true of all brands. It's definitely true of some brands, but you need to go out and need to form your own opinion. I also would like to see you all experimenting with different styles of painting until you find the one that works for you. We're all different, and that's, you know, the joy of art and painting and creating, is discovering those differences. So I want you all to do that. See, I'm not about messing with the lines. If they don't get erased, I'm good with that. So this is, again, this is Moon Glow, which is one of my favorite Daniel Smith colors. And I'm going to further deepen some of our shadows. Paint My Photo has a lot of really great photos on it of elephants. So I would definitely recommend you guys go over there. Now, Gina is not only about using color to create your photos, your paintings, but marks and, you know, expressive marks. So as I continue on with the photo and hopefully stick my brush in the right color, did you guys see I almost stuck it in the wrong color? I'm going to, you know, let some of the marks speak for themselves. Maybe not all of them, but definitely some of them. Come back in with the water brush where I want the color to be there, but maybe be more expressive and blendy. Using the Paint My Photo for reference. I don't know, she's looking pretty cute. Not bad for an hour-long painting. And if you're really having a hard time making expressive marks, again, start thinking about, just like with the acrylic painting from Painting with DecoArt on Monday, start thinking about going with a bigger brush, maybe even using your non-dominant hand. and just play with the light and the shadow. And that's one of the things I like about Jean's books, is she just really encourages you to play with light and shadow. She's really cute, this elephant. This is not quite right up here, so we're going to take some of our colors. Let's see. Now, Jean is a fan of using, you know, adding your white in. Not all watercolorists like using white. She's one that, and she talks about that in her book. We're going to use white. We may even come in here with some watercolor. I mean, some acrylic paint, but I don't know. We'll see. And the white's really subtle usually, unless you get in here with a white gel pen. Or white acrylic paint. It's usually pretty subtle. I could, of course, dry this and then do the white paint, but I don't want to. I think she's pretty good. I'm gonna leave her. Okay, let's see. So that's true, and Ian and everybody paints differently. So for me, it's about moving around the marks and paint on the paper until I get something that I'm really happy with. But everybody's different, and that's the joy of art. We can all be different. She does enjoy some spontaneous, yeah, splatter layers, even more than I do, and drips. Like, she loves like drips. I like my elephant, so I'm going to stop because I like where this is going. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I do think I want to do this and take some of the teal. And then some water. And do that. Yeah, I like that. Thank you, Lisa. So despite the problems getting our broadcast started this morning, we did get an elephant painted. I think she's super cute. I don't know about you guys. You could, of course, let this dry and then, or forcibly dry it and then go in with gel pen, acrylic paint, you know, lots of other things. We are basically, most of us, mixed media artists, so don't be afraid to experiment with your different mediums and putting them together on a piece. I'm just learning how to do digital painting and drawing on my husband's iPad Pro. And yeah, I'm really loving it, but I am very much a newbie. So again, we use Daniel Smith watercolor paints, my preferred brand, as you all know. And these were the photos from Paint My Photo. You can find these photos if you just go to Paint My Photo. If you're not logged in, do that. It's free. And just type in elephant. These will come up. And yeah, no rules. We're mixed media artists. That means we don't have any rules. To hell with the rules. You can throw them out the window. I do recommend you practice drawing and try really hard. It's really difficult. And I know from experience, it's much easier said than done. Thanks, Paint Reg. To draw what you see, not what you think you see. Just draw what you see. Yeah, so I really like my favorite colors are like blues and violets for the shadows and yellows and golds for the highlights. That's my favorite color combination. There's lots of other ones out there. But again, this is from one of the Jean Haynes books. Where's my sheep? Here we go. Both of these are from one of the Jean Haynes books. And this is her stuff. Now on this one, you did the painting and then you put salt in the wet paint and let it dry, and that's how you get this texture here. I didn't do that this morning because you have to really wait for it to dry. You can't speed it up. But it's just about suggesting a few lines, and she doesn't even start it out with any pencil lines or nothing. I mean, it's just straight paint. Yeah, it's got a nice warm tone. I really like our elephant. I'm very pleased with her. I could see me doing more elephants. And there was, somebody, like I said, somebody in the watercolor Facebook group that did one, and I was like, oh yeah, I always wanted to do an envelope. An elephant. Let's do one today. All right, that's it for today. I am sorry about all the problems. Hopefully I can get them figured out and figure out if it's AT&T or my computer. I have this feeling it might be AT&T. That's it for today. Don't forget the most important thing. You guys all know what that is by now, right? I hope. Go out and do something nice for yourself because you deserve it, and I'll see you later. All right? And there are no rules. And if you paint an elephant, I would love to see one. If you're not in my Facebook group yet, the link should be in the description of the video, and go over there and join. I'll approve you. or one of the admins will, Lisa will. And yeah. Paula, I'm sorry. The video is there. I don't know. There's some issues with YouTube this morning. The broadcast will be recorded. On my channel, so you can watch it in the replay. I don't know what's going on. I'll try to figure it out before Monday. All right, that's it, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.